Okay, hello everyone. Welcome back to Visual Basic and Database Tutorials. Okay, this tutorial we are gonna implement what we talked about in the last tutorial, which is how to work with the transactions. Okay, so I'm assuming that you understand the idea behind the transactions so that we can now start working with them. First thing we have in this example, we have this database. It contains a table called EMPs. Okay, it's a list of employees. We have an ID for each one, the name and the salary. And what are we gonna do is create a transaction to add add $10 for each one. Okay, so here we go. So first thing to do here, we have this form and we are gonna create this button. Okay, we are just demonstrating how to write a transaction here. So I'm gonna call this add $10. Okay, and this will add for each of the employees $10. Okay, so I'm gonna need the following. I'm gonna need a connection, con as new allidb dot allidb connection. Okay, and I'm gonna need a connection string. Now the best way to get a connection string is to go to data source, select add data source, click next, select new connection. Okay, change that into accessdb. Okay, browse for the database, should be on the desktop. This is it. Test the connection and okay, now you get the connection string here. You can copy that now, copy, cancel. Now you just paste this one here. Okay, so now we have the connection string. Okay, next we are gonna open the connection. So let me write this: open the db connection. So now con dot open. So now the connection is open. Next we need to start the transaction. Start transaction. Okay, so the dimension trans equal con dot begin transaction. Okay, and begin transaction will mark the start of transaction. So now I can execute a number of SQL statements. Each SQL statement must be stored inside what is called a command. So now I'm gonna define a command. Okay, so define a command for the SQL statement. Okay, so here dimension cmd as a new allidb dot allidb command, as you can see here. And now what do we need to provide? We need to provide the command text first, and this one's gonna be update emps set sal equals sal plus 10, because we want to add $10 for each salary. You need to know a little bit of SQL to write the command text. And next we need to provide the connection, which is con, and then the transaction, which is trans in this case. Okay, so now enter and then execute the command. So now cmd dot execute. Now in the previous tutorial we used the same command in order to get a result, right? Here this one is not getting a result. This one is updating existing information. This is why you choose execute non-query. You don't execute a reader here. Now the final step is to save the changes. Save the changes. So cmd dot transaction dot commit. Okay, and connection dot close. Okay, close the connection. Okay, so these steps are all you need. You open the connection, get the transaction object, create the command based on the connection and the transaction, execute that command, and then commit the transaction or probably roll back that transaction. Okay, so now I'm gonna run this. Okay, now I'm gonna hit add 10. Okay, so now if I go here, you can see here we got 10 added. I'm gonna hit this one again. Okay, and as you can see we have 720s, 870, and so on. And if I hit it number of times, okay, and then as you can see the values are being updated. It's as simple as that. Okay, now so far this is only one SQL statement. Next we are gonna execute a number of SQL statements. Okay, I'm gonna copy this one here, paste it here. I'm gonna say add 10 sub 5. Okay, so I'm gonna add $10 and then subtract $5. Okay, and I'm gonna do this using 2 statements instead of 1, just to demonstrate how to execute multiple commands and how they just make up one big transaction. So here, this is a single. This is the first command, right? So we just executed that, and then we can say again cmd equal a new oladb command, and now update emps set sal equals sal minus 5. Okay, and this is gonna work for everyone. And then select connection, select the trans. Okay, and finally cmd dot execute non-query. Okay, so now here what is gonna happen, we are gonna execute 2 commands. This is the first command. After this one finishes, the second one starts. Okay, so now I'm gonna run this. Now I click this one. Okay, let's try to see the values here. Okay, let's check this here. So adding 10 will make this be 665. Subtract 5, this is going to be 660. So as you can see, it's 660 now. Okay, so now this is adding and subtracting. Okay, so now I'm gonna execute a different SQL. I am gonna update Smith's salary to be increased by 10. Okay, so here I'm gonna say update emp set sal equal plus 100, where ename equals Smith. And by the way, if you want to read the value from the keyboard and use it here, it's not preferable to use it like this. Okay, I'm going to demonstrate this later on. Anyway, so here it's Smith, start with capital S. So this is like that. Okay, so now Smith will be increased by by 100. So here we have first update, second update, third update. Okay, so now I'm gonna click here. Let me show you Smith. Here, this is Mr. Smith. Okay, so now you can see Smith is getting more salary than everyone else. Okay. Now I'm gonna show you how you can even execute more than that. For the sake of example, I just gave you update. You can use delete or insert. Okay, now we are gonna make this a little bit different. So instead of using Smith here, I'm gonna let me add another button, copy, paste, and this add to someone, add 10 to someone. Okay, and now this is gonna be a little bit important here. So the difference with this one is the following. Copy, and there you go. So here now I'm gonna read the name of the person. So dimension NME equal input box, enter the name of the person. That's it. So here I want to update a specific person. I can do it in one of two ways. I'm gonna do it like this, where ename equals, and this is the lazy way to do it, and NME. Okay, so the name will be substituted here, and I can the name is substituted here, and I can do the update for a specific person, right? So now I'm gonna execute this. Sorry. Okay, I did a mistake. I forgot to close this string. Okay, that's it. So now let me run. So click here. Now I'm gonna add 100 to Toad, or 10 to Toad. Let me see. Okay, seems that I closed database by mistake. Okay, so Toad here is 1155. I'm gonna add to John a little bit. Okay, here. So add 10. Now JOHN. Okay, so now watch John is gonna be 705, right? Wait a minute. Yeah, John now is updated, and this is the value of John. Okay, now there is a problem with the way I wrote the code here, which is that if you be a little bit lazy with the programming and write it this way, you can not you but others can cause problems in your code. So now let me show you what's gonna happen if I write something like this. I am gonna write this, or 1 equal 1, or for example hi doesn't equal nothing. That's all. Now this is gonna have the effect of updating everything here. So before I hit OK, let me show you the values. So here we have 1645, 1090, 1155, 705, right? So now obviously this is not the name. I'm gonna hit OK, and now Okay, let me show this to you. Okay, so 715 and so on, everyone was updated. If you didn't see it, I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna say, instead of this, where or a doesn't equal something like that. So 1655 1105, remember these numbers. I'm gonna hit OK, and now you can see everyone got an increase. So I gamed the program, and I was able to do some malicious code or malicious entry that will affect everyone else. In order to avoid such kind of problems, you should not use or update the database or pass parameters like this. Instead, the way you do it is as follows. You replace the variable with colon number, so this is gonna be the parameter 0, and then you say cmd.add parameters.add with value. Okay, and then you pass the parameter name, which is 0, and the value, which is NME. Now this will guarantee that any kind of strange entry will not affect or cause abnormal behavior on the database. Okay, in case you didn't understand what we did before, when we were trying to construct the SQL here, the our entry is part of the SQL itself, is not considered a parameter. Okay, but here the entry will have escape characters that will prevent it from being interpreted as part of the SQL command. Instead, it will be just a parameter that is being used inside the SQL command. Okay, so you always use add with value when you are working with parameters. So now let's run this. So now I'm gonna show you the database here, and I'm gonna say add 10 to someone. I'm gonna add this strange entry, which is equal something. Okay, so I guess I'm gonna press OK, and now I'm gonna close this, and you can see the values are not being affected. Okay, because now it's not being interpreted like before as part of the SQL command, but rather the entry is now interpreted as parameter, so it has the necessary escape characters. Okay, so now let's go back to our program and take a final look at the transaction here. Okay, so again, as we explained, working with transaction is very easy. Okay, you have an open connection, you begin a transaction, you execute one or more statements, it can be millions of statements, and finally, to save that, you say commit. If you want to cancel that, you can just say, for example, roll back, and all the changes will be removed from the database. Okay, and up to the point of the last successful transaction. Okay, yeah, so that is all about transaction. There is actually not much to say about them. This is how you can do it, and probably I will create a project to show you how to build a complete system without using a wizard, just using pure SQL like these and using the connections. Okay, there is another thing here that I want you to pay attention to. For each of the buttons, I am doing something here. I am opening a connection, and then beginning a transaction, executing a command, and then committing the transaction, and so on. Usually if you are having lots of updates and stuff like that, usually you try to open the connection once instead of opening for each update operation, and you try to execute all these updates as a single unit, okay, and then committing them once. That usually this makes things work faster. It's not always the case. In many cases it depends on the problem, but if you want, for example, to update 1000 records, it will be more convenient to open the connection only once, updating them all, and then committing the transaction. Okay, so I guess this will be all for transaction, and I guess this concludes our database tutorials. These are all the tricks. The rest is actually depends on how you think about your design, how well you are in SQL. Okay, you need to be very good in SQL if you want to write database applications, which is another subject. Okay, so that will be all, and this is the end of database tutorials. If you have further questions or suggestions, send them to me. Also check out the website for other videos and how to. Thank you and have a nice day. Bye bye.